Hello everybody, I am Hoarder Gamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I hope that you had a delightful week, and I hope I either make it more delightful or, leave your week alone. Like the Pink Floyd song, Leave Them Kids Alone, leave your week alone. Let you have the nice week you were having. The big thing is, I don't want to make your week any worse. So, hopefully that does not happen. If you're new to the show, basically we start with some video game news because, yes, I'm a video game streamer. Then we look at some toys that are coming. We toy around a bit. And then it's the near future of comics right before we have a comic book review. And this week it's going to be Batman and Robin #1. And Mark Waid and I believe it's Chris Samney are the creators of this run for Batman and Robin #1. Okay, so first up, video games. Okay. Now, I know everyone's used to me starting with Diablo, and we do a lot of Diablo, almost every week. Not every week, but almost every week. So you're kind of used to that, it's. But we're going to start out off differently today. We got Metaphor Re Fantazio. And as I almost cleverly used for a Twitch stream title, Metaphor Re Fantastic Yo. Because that's how I feel about the game. Okay, so I'm 20 hours in. Oh, first off, spoilers. There's going to be spoilers at around roughly the 18 to 20 hour mark of the game. Okay, if we're okay, good. Okay, I was 20 hours in, swallowed by a giant sandworm human hybrid. The thing was crazy, super colorful. I want to say it had 4 eyes, and it was just absurd looking. Anyway, I had to fight it and hold it off, and instead of holding it off, which is what it said the objective was, it swallowed me whole, and now I have to escape from this giant sandworm human hybrid and grab as much treasure as I can on the way out through its body. This mission is nothing like I thought it would be. I thought I was going to go and find some dude who was possibly kidnapping children. And I was like, holy shit, that's serious and crazy. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this human worm hybrid thing swallows me. Okay, and then I recently also got the reins of something called the Gauntlet Runner. It's a massive land vehicle that literally runs through the kingdom of Uchronia on mechanical legs. This landcraft is piloted by an eccentric genius named Neris, and for some unknown reason, my main character is able to teleport to areas I've been to already. We don't know exactly why yet. There's something special about the main character in Metaphor Re Fantazio. We don't know exactly what that is yet. We do know that they apparently can allow other people to use these archetypes that he uses, and he might awaken that in them. So, again, this game's 80 to 100 hours, I believe, so it's going to be a while before we get answers as to the whys. But, watching everything, playing everything is exciting and insane, and I've very much enjoyed the game so far. Okay. And, yeah, I love it so far, and I feel that if you're a Persona or Shin Megami Tensei fan, you'll love it as well. But if you're on the fence, you can download and play a 5 to 8 hour demo. And this isn't like one of those things you see with an advertisement. I don't see a penny for this. But definitely, if you like JRPGs and you're a fan of either Persona or Shin Megami Tensei, or just curious, right? Just download the demo and see what you think. Like I said last week, you'll do the demo and you'll know right then and there if you like the game. You'll know. It won't be a big, massive shocker or surprise. You're going to be like, okay, I dig this, or I do not dig this. So that's pretty much what your response is probably going to be there. Okay, next up, we do go to Diablo 4 because you can't get away from Diablo 4 on this channel. Okay, no. Anyway, I had to drop back down to normal difficulty, which I'm a little worried about. It tells you if you have just some legendary items, you should be fine. I've got like 4. Now, sadly, some are still around like level 30, and my character is at like level 48. But the big thing is, I'm trying to find loot that has, 2 sockets, or any sockets, as it were, and then also certain aspects to it. So, if I don't get that loot, it's not something that I see viable to use. So I had to go back down to normal difficulty. Okay? So hard was brutal. It was insane. Like, it was... I mentioned the Realm Walkers, right? There are these crazy things that you follow throughout the level. And, like, basically, when they die, they open up a portal, and you go in that portal and fight enemies and stuff, okay? And get rewards. Well, just fighting the damn enemies it's dropping and, like, trying to follow it without, like, not defeating the enemies, insanely difficult. And just, like, everything just punishing me. So I went back to normal difficulty. So, okay. Now, this was even difficult with a mercenary. And I only have the first mercenary unlocked so far, right here. Now, I will say this. This is something that was really neat. The improved storytelling benefits this game in surprising ways. Case in point, Rahir has an adopted daughter. We thought it was his daughter, but twice in the span of a few minutes, he mentions the girl's father. So, not exactly sure there. Caretaker. Rahir seems to be the caretaker of this young girl. Okay, and in a battle during Vessel of Hatred, Rahir loses one of his arms. And the player cares about these characters, I feel, more than the kills for higher mercs in D2 or the ragtag bunch we had in D3. There seems to be more depth here. There's also, like, a better understanding of who they are. It's not just a singular drive to stop the bad guy. I would say that Linden in Diablo 3, he also shows up in Diablo 4. He's kind of the rogue character that uses a bow. I'd say he had some of the most personality, but for me, in Diablo 3, I would say that the paladin type character, whatever you want to call him, he didn't have that much personality. It's like evil needs to be punished and killed, no quarter given. And it just came out as blah, it wasn't that exciting. And there's a sorcerer that helps you. She's more interesting, but I would say of the 3, my favorite in Diablo 3 would probably be Linden. Although the sorcerer has more interesting ways to keep you alive, as I remember. Sadly, so does the paladin type character, crusader, whatever you want to call them. Okay. Now we go to new technology. New technology, everybody. Metaquest 3S. So the Metaquest 3 has been available for a while. It's a virtual reality headset having to do with Meta. And, well, they seem to have a new headset. It came out technically yesterday. For whatever reason, Amazon shipments won't be arriving for most people till tomorrow and later. I don't know exactly why. The first pre-order I did said it would come to me at November 30th. And all customer service could tell me was that, hey, you should cancel that order and then reorder it. Because when I looked at when the availability was for orders after I did my pre-order, it was like, oh, it's only 2 days after launch, not November 30th. So that's what I did. I'm very much looking forward to Batman Arkham Shadow, and if you buy a Metaquest 3 or Metaquest 3S, I think through January, I could be wrong about that. It's for a little time period, right? You do get Batman Arkham Shadow with it. So that's really cool. And right now they're saying Batman Arkham Shadow, the devs are saying, should be right around the size of like Arkham Asylum. So for a VR Batman game, that's really cool. Because if you played Batman Arkham VR, which I believe was on like through Steam as well as PSVR, I believe that was about 90 minutes. Because I actually beat it. And I want to say it was like 90 minutes, maybe 3 hours if you replay it and do all the little stuff. Like, you know, like there's challenges involving the Batarang. There might be combat challenges, I'm not sure, in the first Arkham VR. But yeah, it's really not that large of a game. And apparently, this one should be pretty big. It's been in development for 4 years. So that's a pretty big deal, I would say. I honestly thought this may not have been in development for maybe a year and a half, 2 years total. And no, we found out from the devs it's been in development like 4 years. Batman Arkham Shadow. And what really amazed me about that too is like, I didn't hear any rumors or anything about it until like a month before it was announced. Like, they were able to keep that secret when everyone was waiting for a new Arkham game. And yes, when it was announced, a lot of people were upset it was VR. And no, I'm not just getting it for Batman Arkham VR. One of the big things I always do is if I'm going to get a piece of technology or anything like that, it has to have a base of games I'm interested in, or it has to have, you know, some sort of platform I like, you know, like something like a Blu-ray or DVD player. It wasn't like, oh, this one movie's available. It was knowing how many movies were available and like all the studios were on board. Those kind of things are important, as just as similar as it is to have a number of games to play. Otherwise, you end up with something like the Virtual Boy, the Nintendo Virtual Boy, which I want to say had a total of only 35 games, something like that. It was very minimal, and it was not sold for a long period of time in retail. Okay, so other games I find exciting, and if you're interested in getting possibly a Quest 3 or a Metaquest 3S, Asgard's Wrath 2. All the reviews I've seen for this game are like 9s and 10s, and that it's one of the best VR gaming experiences that you'll have. Now, apparently I talked to a friend, Miller, who was streaming last night, and Miller said that Asgard's Wrath was really good, or heard it was really good, but didn't know much about Asgard's Wrath 2. But yes, the reviews I've seen for Asgard's Wrath 2 are that, you know, it's excellent. And it takes all these ideas that were in the first one and builds upon them. And an average playthrough of Asgard's Wrath 2, even remind you everybody, it's a VR game, is around 80 hours. Perhaps 100 for full completion. And there's, I guess, a number of clever plot twists. The combat is fun and well done. Traversal does not cause any motion sickness. So, yeah, apparently Asgard's Wrath 2 is excellent. Then we have Iron Man VR. That was on PSVR, and I unfortunately did not get a chance to play it. I definitely wanted to. And on MetaQuest, it's I think it's $29.99 for that one. That'll probably be the first game I play on MetaQuest, because Batman Arkham VR is included with the purchase, but that game does not launch until next Tuesday, the 22nd. So, Iron Man VR will probably be the first thing I try out on it. Now, we also have on PSVR Moss. It's this adorable, picturesque looking game where you're like a mouse warrior, and there's Moss Book 1 and Moss Book 2. So they did a sequel. So I'm very excited to finally be able to play those. As soon as I saw those announced and everything, I was like, those look amazing. Ghostbusters, something of the Ghost Lord. It's a VR gaming experience. Now, the only negatives I've heard of that is that it was really geared towards a younger audience. But it sounds like if you're a big Ghostbusters fan, you're still going to have fun with it. You just might not be like that excited to spend hour after hour with it. It definitely didn't sound bad. Plus, there's an Alien game coming out in let's see, I actually have notes for some of these VR games. Alien Incursion comes out in December. That also sounds amazing. And from the explanation, it sounds somewhat similar to like Alien Isolation, which again, we found out what, like, I think a month ago or a few weeks ago, that we're actually getting a full sequel to. So that's really cool. So this would be something to kind of tide us over, I'd say, if you have VR access. Metro Awakening, one of the Metro games made from the ground up for VR, and it looks very good. Now, I do have a VR pet peeve. I don't love the floating hands. So a lot of games will have it where it's like floating hands, and you're opening a door, you're turning a lock, you're grabbing a handle with floating hands. But I think there's just some games where there's no other great option. So Metro does have that, but everything else looks phenomenal and very much like a Metro game. So I think Metro Awakening will be really good. And then there's a game called Behemoth, and I believe this is by Skydance, and it's a big budget VR game where you're actually fighting a number of enemies, but the big goal is to fight these gigantic behemoths that you're climbing and trying to take down. So it kind of sounds a little like Shadow of the Colossus. So that sounds really neat to me. With that one, I'm a little worried, though, about like motion sickness, I gotta say. Because if you're climbing something like 100 feet tall or something, you look down or something, oh my god, I can only imagine what that's going to be like. But maybe that's something they thought of. Maybe you just see clouds. Maybe that doesn't make it as scary. I don't know. Assassin's Creed Nexus VR. That looked pretty cool, and reviews, some people really enjoyed it. And I do want to do the Darth Vader VR. Now, I know those reviews, I think, were just sort of okay to good. But, yeah, the Darth Vader VR, which is like 3 chapters or something like that, looked really neat to me. So, but no, Batman Arkham Shadows, I'm definitely going to have like a, was it not a preview really, but like a kind of an opinion of it or whatever. I don't know if I would say a full review. I don't want to say review unless it's actually going to be one. So, but I'll definitely talk about it, and I hope it's a really good experience. And I'm hoping this chair is going to be fine for the experience. It does turn 360 degrees, and just about most of these games I mentioned, they have it where it's room scale, seated or standing. So for me, with my back issue and everything, I do the not standing. I do the seated. And the room scale is very difficult to do. You need to have a rather large room that's kind of almost dedicated to the VR experience. So it's not something you see a lot of people doing. Okay, everybody. Now, we are done with video gaming news. It is time for us to look at toying around. I screwed up there. I'll be fully honest. I almost went into the future of comics, and we're not there yet. Now it is time for us to toy around. And unlike last week, there are actually some pretty cool toys to show everybody here. Of course, McFarlane gets a lot of love just because they have some of the most announcements, like this right here. People have been waiting for a very well done 6 to 7 inch Christopher Reeve Superman figure, and I believe the pre-orders for this go live tomorrow or Friday. So yeah, these pre-orders go live very soon. Amazon.com is going to have it. McFarlane Toys, I believe, will. Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. Most retailers will have this pre-order. I think it looks really good. I would have preferred like a solid like chest plate, although I don't know exactly how well that would work with the 1980 style and everything. It might protrude a bit too much or something, because a number of the Superman figures they've done recently have had like actual like plastic chest plates with the S on. not just like a paint job or a paint application. But yes, I like that very much. It is the collector's version. It comes with 2 heads for Superman. One of them looks like he's mean, but I don't know if they're trying to evoke the Superman 3 Earthsat's Kryptonite version. I'm not sure if that's what they're going for. But you do get a secondary head for Superman, and that cape is actual material, which is really damn neat. I'll admit I don't love the waist jointing of it, but, you know, I can't be too upset by that, you know? Otherwise, the likeness is great, especially at that price point. And with the collector's versions of McFarlane figures, between $24.99 and $29.99. They usually come with like a base, a collector card background. Like I said, he has an extra head, and I believe it comes with a number of extra hands, possibly something to replicate the heat vision too, but I'm not sure. I was looking at the accessories it comes with, and I can't be certain of everything that's with it. So, but yeah, Christopher Reeve as Superman for McFarlane Toys. The Earthrise Titan Scorponok from Transformers. A Decepticon that turns into a giant scorpion, and a base. And, of course, a robot. So, I really think he's cool. He's not something I necessarily want for my collection, but I think collectors will be very happy, and fans will be happy, because this has been unavailable for, like, years. So, pre-orders are live. He's very huge. He's like I want to say 18 to 20 inches tall, so he's a very big fella. So he also has a very big price. He's $199.99. But I definitely want to show him to everybody because, like I said, this is something that people have been waiting for, and it's getting a re-release. Similar to when Fortress Maximus got a re-release. I wonder if Omega Supreme is going to get a re-release, or Trypticon. Trypticon I thought was really cool, especially like the base version of Trypticon. I thought that was awesome. But Scorponok right here. Decepticon base, Scorpion, and big damn robot. Next up we have Darkseid Is. Darkseid Is. If you haven't read the Tom King Mr. Miracle series, that might make no sense. But here's a really good version of Darkseid from the Justice League movie. I think this one, yeah, I believe this is from the full version that was on like HBO Max, which is now Max. And, you know, it was like the true vision of Zack Snyder, that version. And he comes with a throne and his armor. So I believe they did a large 12-inch version of Darkseid that had the armor, but I think it was like an exclusive. And mostly he was just like, no armor, you know, bare chest. So it's cool to see him with the armor here, and it says in the little caption with him, he comes with the throne. Here's the only issue. This is apparently a pre-order for New York Comic Con, so it's supposed to go live tomorrow at roughly about 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe. And I think it looks great. I can't exactly guess the price. The 12-inch McFarlane toys are usually $40. That's usually what they seem to be. With that throne, I could see it being $60. But, you know, there's at least an estimate of a price for you if you're interested in it. But I think it looks really good. I know they did a comic book version of Darkseid recently, and he had a cool little attachment to his head that kind of recreated the whole Omega Beam look. So that was neat too. But yeah, I definitely wanted to show everybody here the Darkseid from Justice League. And now, everybody, with that completed, we are going to look at the near future of comic books, all the way to 1 week from today. And first up, we have Frankenstein. Universal Monsters, Frankenstein number 3. I have read issues 1 and 2. They have been great. It's a retelling of the Universal Monsters movie Frankenstein with a number of clever twists and a number of really cool additions. Things that, like, fans of the original movie I think will just kind of like go gaga over. Really cool minute changes, but even more than those changes, it's the little surprises it does. So this issue 3, there's only 4 issues total. So one thing to keep in mind too, they'll do a collection, right? But the collection is going to be like hardcover, so probably between $20 and $25 when that comes out. But here's issue 3 of 4, and I definitely want to show this is Michael Walsh art, and Michael Walsh is also the writer of this book. So yeah, I definitely wanted to show this Frankenstein number 3. Next up, we have Detective Comics 1090. Okay, Tom Taylor and Mikkel Janin, I believe it is, have taken over Detective Comics from Ram V, and I believe Ram was working with a number of artists. I don't think it was one specific artist. But yes, there's kind of a secret having to do with Crime Alley and the terrible events that, you know, made Bruce Wayne an orphan, and those are going to weigh heavily on this new run of Detective Comics. So, as I like to talk about, this is a great jumping on point. When a new team takes over, when a new story arc starts, if you haven't been like caught up in everything, this is a great time to jump in. One thing to keep in mind too, Ram V's run was a really cool like gothic opera with a lot of awesome horror elements. So keep that in mind if you want something kind of freaky Batman and, you know, very Halloween to enjoy this month. Because, like, as far as I know, at least the first 2 trades or hardcovers are available. The third one won't be for a while, but by then, you know, you'll be caught up with those other trades if you grab those. So, okay. Next up, we have Nightwing 119. Now, what you're saying is, what do you mean Nightwing 119? Because, yes, I believe 118 came out today. And that was the end of the Bruno Redondo and the Tom Taylor run. So, Tom Taylor ending with Nightwing, going to Detective Comics. Now, obviously, this is done months and months in advance, so it's not like he wrote the book like last week or something, and then the artist, you know, put the art in, you know, did all the pages. That's not how that works. But yes, the run was really cool, and it ended like today. Now you can try the new story arc, and here it is. Now I believe it's Dan Waters is writing it, and yeah, I like Nightwing quite a bit. I'm interested to see what the new direction is, and yeah, where do you go from what happened with everything with the Tom Taylor run? Basically, it's going to be a lot of infighting and a power vacuum for a number of different criminals in Gotham. So that should be very cool and exciting. This here is a variant cover that I thought looked really good. So I definitely wanted to show this here. Nightwing 119. Null Hunter, number 1. Now, this isn't Null with a K, K-N-U-L-L, the terrifying initial King in Black from the from the Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman run of Venom. No, this is without the K, and it is a cyberpunk version of the Trials of Hercules. Everything from like elite speak version of the name of the I believe the Nimia lions. It sounds really cool. Michael Walsh is writing it. And again, he's also the person who wrote the new Frankenstein Universal Pictures comic book, where I showed issue 3 just like a few moments ago. So, yeah, he has got a new book. I want to say it's a miniseries. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's like a 12-issue miniseries. But yeah, I thought it sounded really cool. This artwork is also Michael Walsh. So I definitely wanted to show this. Null Hunter, number 1. One second here. So one book, and I apologize because I thought I had a picture of it here. Apparently I don't. Absolute Wonder Woman, number 1. This is a Wonder Woman in that she doesn't have, you know, the island paradise. She doesn't have the sisterhood that she grew up with. If anything, this version of Wonder Woman seems almost like brutal and almost more like the God of War Ares. So I'm very interested in seeing how that book goes, and that also starts next week. I would arguably say that is one of the biggest books for next week. Very good chance I'll review that, to be honest with you. Absolute Wonder Woman, number 1. That's what that is. And finally, Creature from the Black Lagoon lives. This is Creature from the Black Lagoon, issues 1 through 4 from Universal and Image Comics. And it's Ram V and also Dan Waters, who I mentioned earlier tonight. So this is another really cool take on a very popular Universal horror character. So definitely check this out. This is actually a hardcover. There's 2 different covers. One's market exclusive, and then one that's, you know, just going to be everywhere. Surprisingly, this is not the exclusive one. There was a version of this cover that was on actually one of the 4 issues of the comic when it first came out. But I love this artwork. So for me, this is one of the best pieces of art involving the Creature from the Black Lagoon. So that's why I showed that one there. But yeah, $24.99. It's hardcover, and they do a really good job. Like I have the Dracula one, and the Dracula one I talked about as I reviewed the first 4 issues was excellent. That was really an excellent one, and it's very, very much difficult to think that Ram V and Dan Waters did not do a great job with the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Okay, everybody, we are now done with looking into the future of comics all the way to 1 week from today. Now it is time, before we end our show, for a comic book review of Batman and Robin number 1. So this is a very cool retelling of basically Batman and Robin going out on their first mission together, and they do it against Two-Face. And you know, Robin's impetuous. He wants to get out there, do his thing, and of course Batman wants Robin to be safe, and Alfred is worried about Robin, thinking he's too young. You know, there's this great moment where Commissioner Gordon first meets Robin for the first time, and Batman's there. It's the whole situation with the bat signal, right, on the rooftop, and he talks about, like, you know, this violence and all this terribleness and darkness in this city. Really, you want to bring a kid into this? And he was like, when has that darkness ever spared a child? And I was like, wow, that's very good writing from Mark Waid. And Mark Waid has been just doing awesome when it comes to recent Batman and Superman comics. So yeah, this is no different. Also, you get the art of give me 1 second here, I apologize, everybody. Chris Samney, who I think I mentioned it earlier, and it's beautiful. It reminds me a lot of the work of Darwin Cook. It has that very elegant, almost older style, like evocative of like noir and things like that. It looks just fantastic. So, for whatever reason, Two-Face has stolen a document, a file, and Batman and Robin are perplexed because even though Robin doesn't know much about Two-Face, he knows about the whole thing, like the whole like preoccupation with doubles of everything, multiples, everything in twos. And Batman, of course, knows that as well. So everyone is really shocked and surprised that, this goes against the modus operandi of Two-Face. And what's really interesting too is Commissioner Gordon wants this file, and it's incredibly important. He doesn't want Two-Face to be able to look at it, so he's hoping to get it before Two-Face can even look at it. He also doesn't want Batman or Robin to look at it. There's something very interesting about this file. And you find out when they actually encounter Two-Face, he basically traps Batman and Robin. He like has this thing like on the ground that kind of like grabs their feet. And then there's like a bomb set up too. Okay, and he talks about how someone is coming to town, a new heavy hitter, and honestly, it doesn't matter if I kill you or he kills you very soon. And then you meet this character, the General, and he comes to town in a private airplane, and he's very nice and everything to the stewardess and all of that. And then, as he's getting off the plane, he says, "Hey, does anyone know we've come here?" And he goes like, "No." And I was like, "Okay." And they said, "Well, you got to take care of the details." So the guy goes aboard the plane, kills the stewardess and anyone else that would have seen them. Really screwed up stuff. I really like Batman and Robin. I like the relationship here. This isn't like the screwed up relationship that Frank Miller did when he did a Batman and Robin comic book, where like he made Robin like tell Robin he could eat the rats in the Batcave and I'm the goddamn Batman. No, this is more of a what you're expecting from Batman, and it's all really well done. And like I said, the art by Chris Samney just ties it all together very well, and I'm interested to see where this goes. And this new General, he's ruthless, and I'm interested to know if he's the real power or it's this elderly man who I believe is his father that he's traveling with. So, also, we know that this new heavy hitter basically has had men in Gotham for months now. So he's been like setting up like a small like sleeper cell army. Not really sleeper cell, because I'm sure they know what they're here for, or what they're there for in Gotham anyway. But like setting up an army and kind of waiting things out to do some terrible things in Gotham. A lot of my friends are like, why would anyone want to live in Gotham? And I don't know. I don't have a great answer for that. But yeah, Batman and Robin #1 is really good. I highly recommend it. And like I said, Mark Waid's writing recently, and especially like DC Comics with like Batman and Superman World's Finest. Great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, everybody. I want to thank you all very much for watching. Again, I hope I didn't like ruin the vibe, is it? I hope I didn't ruin the vibe of your week. For whatever reason, if you want to watch more of me, twitch.tv/Hoarder Gamer. I'm doing a lot of Metaphor Re Fantazio, the game I talked about earlier today. Also Diablo 4. There's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. I want to say it's called Mutant Mayhem, but I probably have that title wrong. I'm good at having titles wrong. But that comes out soon. That's from Outright Games. And it honestly looks like one of the best things they've published. So if you're a Turtles fan, definitely look at that. It's supposed to be the quasi-sequel to the really cool animated film that came out, I believe it was last year. So, and it kind of sets you up for the sequel film, which I think comes out in 2026, unless I'm mistaken. But yeah, that looks really cool. And of course, I'll talk about Arkham Shadow and my experience with Metaquest 3. So tomorrow is going to be Games on a Plane. Xbox Live Mike and I, just gamesonaplane.com. We play games on a plane. That's going to be fun. And then on, I believe you'll be able to see it on Monday. We have a really cool Diablo special coming up. A Diablo special. And the details aren't all out yet, so I can't say them. But yes, definitely check that out. Super Hour Podcast with a Diablo 4 special. And again, that should be aired where you can see it probably Monday, I would think, because it's being recorded like late on Sunday. So everybody, thank you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And I hope that you have a great week. I don't harp and preach on this, but if you like the show, be sure to tell someone else. If you know someone that likes comics, let them know. Someone that likes toys. Thank you very much for watching, and have an awesome week. Bye-bye.